Hello. First of all, I would like to say thanks to Baruch College to make this invitation for I try to explain a little bit about our family. And also, Rogério, we are a business partner in Brazil. He is giving advice to our company, and he was the one who thought that I could bring something good for all of you here. So it's a little bit difficult. It's going to be my first speak in English, and I'm going to do my best to bring only good subjects for you. But it's difficult to take 50 years and speak about every single detail, which I think is important in 40 minutes. It's a challenge. But I promise I'm going to try to do my best. Well, it's working? Yeah. Well, like Ramona told, my name is Fernando Carrilho. I'm the third generation entrepreneur. I'm nowadays the CFO, 37 years old, married, and I have 3 children. But first, I think that I want to tell a story. I think we have to talk a little bit about the beginning of the company. The company was founded in 1969 by my grandfather and my grandmother. My grandfather, he used it to work. He was the manager of a rail estate network of Brazil. I mean, he used to work for the government. And together with my grandmother, they decided to open a construction company to reform and build some small agents, postal offices, things like that, just to have some extra wage. And on that time, they had, this is my grandfather and my grandmother, and the 4 children they had. This guy over here is my father and my uncle. They are the 2 older persons, 2 older sons of the couple. And when they begin the construction company, they use it to request them to, when they have free time, to help them on this kind of work. And of course, they help it. And when they was 19 years old, when they get in the university, they just decided that they wanted to grow the business. I mean, they think that they could do a little bit more. So they kept doing what the construction company used it to do, but they also saw an opportunity in building apartments for low-income families. Of course, you know, in Brazil, we have a very big deficit of habitation. So since that time, we have governments that promote this kind of program, social program. Yeah? So they just went to the public banks and asked for finance, and they just construct, erect the buildings, and they sell the clients, and the clients get financed with the government bank. What's the problem? On that time, this was about 30 or 40 years ago, the economy in Brazil was chaotic, was terrible. So inflation was huge, big. And in the one hand, the families have their installments not increasing. But in the other hand, the installments to pay their apartments was growing as per the inflation. So the inflation just devoured the capacity of the people to buy things and to keep paying. So they stopped to pay because they couldn't honor with the debt. And the banks from that time, we didn't have a law in Brazil that could guarantee the property of the apartment. So unfortunately, people just stopped to pay the bank, but the bank could not go there and take out the apartment. So one day that things have to finish. And what happened was that the banks lost the funds. They didn't have funds, and they started to do not pass the financial line to the construction company, and almost all of them went bankrupt. So these two guys working together, they found a way that maybe they could survive. They said, let's keep doing the same style of apartment, but let's finance the people by ourselves. And it was a little bit risky, but there was already one law developed in our country establishing the right of the property of the apartment if the people stop to sell. So, I mean, everybody was so not convinced already. I mean, the economy was just stabilized. The inflation was stabilized as well. And decided to risk everything in this plan. This plan we call Plan 100. If I explain you the Plan 100, was fantastic. I'm going to spend about 1 hour talking about this plan with you. But just to summarize, this plan basically make the client pay 30% of the price of the apartment in the first 30 months. 30 months is exactly the time that we needed to build the apartments. And after that, the balance, 70%, the customer used to pay directly to the construction company. Of course, this requires some capital, but that was the unique way that they found to keep doing what they knew to do. And they were very successful. This is a picture with this kind of apartments that they do and sell with this plan 100 I told you. But they found something that could be more interesting. They thought that they could adopt the same plan and build also mid and high, to build and high income families as well. So they used the same plan to sell this kind of apartments for medium and high income classes. And this was a tremendous success. I mean, the Construtora Carrilho just grow very fast with this program. But after a couple of years, the economy was stabilized, the inflation was stabilized, and the law got some maturity. So the banks came back to the construction company, and they wanted to come back to finance again. So that gave us power to do more of what we're doing, because now we're going to have more capital. So Carrilho started to increase very fast. But one thing that I must clarify with you is we never stop to build for low-income families. This was always our core business. Well, in this period, about 16 years ago, we have a new government in Brazil, as you may know. This government was a kind of populist and socialist government, and their principle was to make an accelerated growth plan based in two pillars: infrastructure and supplying apartments for the first home of the families. And they launched a program that calls My Home, My Life. If I talk about My Home, My Life, I'm going to take also 1 more hour with you. But basically, the government subsidized part of the interest rate and part of the price of the apartment. As lower as was the income of the family, as bigger was they are subsidized, okay? But when they developed this program, we were already fitted in, because we never stopped to work for the low-income families. So we were the first company in Brazil fitted in this program, because when we were launching the project, the government just launched the program at the same time. So one more thing that made us grow very fast. But everything must be a little bit self-sustained. I mean, the government was populist, was socialist, was very good for us, but it needs to be self-sustained. So the incomings, I mean, the taxes, incomings of the government was lower than the expenditures. And one day, the market started to see that, and the money, I mean, the inflation started to increase again, the economy started in a free fall again, we started to have a problem in Brazil again. And this time in Brazil, we had a lot of allegation of corruptions, including in the state-owned oil state-owned oil company called Petrobras. I don't know if you heard about this company. It's our largest state-owned oil company in Brazil, and we had a lot of corruption on that company. The government used that company also to keep the inflation a little bit low because they regulate the price of the oil. So they asked the Petrobras also to keep the price of the fuel regulated below the international price. And Petrobras was suffering a lot, suffering very much. And I must tell you something. The younger brother and the youngest son of my grandparents, Mr. Humberto Carrilho, from nothing, he is also a great successful businessman, and from nothing, he developed an empire of a fuel distribution company. So nowadays, he is one of the 10 largest fuel distribution companies in Brazil. And what's happened, when Brazil was just in a free fall with the economy, everything I just told you, the Petrobras, I mean, we impeached the president, and the vice president that took over the power let Petrobras free for regulate the price with the international market and also let the distribution companies to import fuel from other countries. The problem was the distribution company, they had no stockpile. So they couldn't buy, and they had nowhere to stockpile it. Thanks to the relationship with the brothers, I mean, the youngest brother, my father, and his partner, my other uncle, they decided to invest together in the terminals. So we just made a very good relationship, and we started to build those terminals in the Amazon River and also in the Northwest. And what's happened is, when the economy was in the free fall, the median and high income from sales of the median and high income families just disappeared. We couldn't sell anything to that kind of person. The low income was still buying. We still kept the revenue on that. But for the median and high income family, we just stopped to sell. But with this, we could overweight the loss in our income. So the loss to our income, we came with this business. I mean, well, now I'm going to talk, this is a little bit the history of our company, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my history as well. Like I told you, Fernando, 37 years old. I started to my business life pretty early. I started with 19 years old. I'm a civil engineer. As soon as I got in the university, I decided to work for the third largest heavy construction company in Brazil, which is Construtora Carrilho. And I was in charge for the tenders, licitations with the government. And I spent like 2.5 years working with Carrilho. After that, I decided to stop, and I went to Cambridge in England to improve my business English. When I was coming back, I was so hungry to embrace the Brazil. You know, I wanted to do something, and I didn't want to be a cost in my family company. I didn't want to be someone else. I mean, I want to add value in my family company. So when I came back, I picked up my father, my uncle, and said, look, I have a lot of ideas. Let's invest in this, or let's invest on that, and so on and so on. But nothing, I introduced it to them, nothing was accepted. So I was 21 years old, approximately. So I decided, okay, if you don't want to do anything, I'm going to do my own construction company. And I opened a construction company. The headquarters was my truck. And together with my grandfather, because on that time, people used to call us like Batman and Robin. We were very linked together. So we start our construction company. And the first job, the first service, the first work that we got was to build a maritime terminal for the youngest son of my grandfather, which I was telling his history just a few minutes now. I mean, the fuel distribution company and so on. When I was building his maritime terminal, I had a very, very, very hard contact with some consultants that my uncle hired to advise him in the sales of this new type of fuel, which used to be petroleum coke. I don't know if you heard about that. It's a kind of solid fuel that cement factories usually to use that kind of fuel in their furnaces. So I was talking with the retired ex-employees of the cement factories, and I was telling them about my desire to be a businessman, to open something, to do something different. And they asked me, Fernando, why don't you open a cement factory? Come on, are you crazy? I mean, cement is a very big thing. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, the investment is too big and so on. And they came to me and said, Fernando, we have some ideas. Let's share these ideas with you. And actually, the idea was great. Was fantastic. It was a smaller cement factory. And I made the business plan of this business, and I was very detailed. And I tried to, of course, to sell first this idea to my family business. As soon as I got there, they said, no, we don't want. So I went to every corner of Brazil, all the big companies I knew. I went there offering my project. Almost all of them liked the business plan, which was great. But no one wants to risk because they didn't want to fight against the cartel of cement in Brazil, which is very strong. So I just, I was in my city, I was in my town coming back from a meeting, and I called my uncle, Humberto, the youngest son, and I called him and said, Humberto, I'd like to take some doubts with you about some premises that I have in my business plan. Can you help me on that? It's okay, you come here. I went to his home. And when I got there, I showed the business plan and said, it's a very good business. I'm in. I said, but you need to find 2 more partners. I want to divide the risk. I went to my family business, come on. Humberto is in. Are you not going to get in as well? And they said, no, if Humberto is in, we're going to be in as well. But you have to find another one. It's okay, and I find another company. So in about 12 months, I erected the plant. I started to buy blast furnaces, slag, and clinker from all over the world, especially from Asia. The blast furnaces, slag, and clinker is the raw material of this kind of cement. And the strategy here was to produce the best cement that we could do in our region. Because the 3 cement factories that we used to have there, they used it to have the monopoly, and they used to practice high price and low quality perform products. So we did the business. In 12 months, we were 100% fully occupied. But something happened that we didn't expect it, price war. So yes, our market share was only about 4% in 6 provinces. And we didn't thought that they were supposed to get in a price war with us. They are supposed to have a big loss with that. But they was. They just get in a price war with me. And in most part of the places that I was selling my cement, I was selling for a cheaper price than the cost. So I was facing damage. But as I told you, my strategy was to supply a better product. And when we tried this cement with the concrete mix, we saw that we could reduce the consumption of cement in up to 30%. So what was my thinking? Let's supply concrete. So in 6 months, we became the largest concrete supplier in the Northwest. And with the reduction of 30%, we could put the price of the cement higher and also make some profits in the concrete business. Well, when we did that, almost 50% of our production was directly delivered to as a concrete, and the other 50% we choose the cities that was paying the greater value for the product. This got the cartel crazy because they couldn't stop me anymore, and in very few months we sold our business. The valuation, I mean, you can think about this in dollars because on that time the current exchange was 1-to-1 about. And in 2 years, we sold for this value, which was a great business. Well, that's a period. Then, when I sold this business, I didn't want to stop. I said, what I'm going to do right now? I mean, I only had 6% of this company, and I can't do another one. I didn't want to sell. I wish to open other factories, and I decided, no, I'm going to China. I'm going to live there until I find a new business to put in Brazil. I had a very good contacts and so on. So I went to China, and I spent 2 months there. No business, nothing. I couldn't find anything. When I was coming back, I called this guy. He used to live in the same building as I. And I offered him galvanized steel sheet in coils because I knew he had a factory with that. And he thought that the price was amazing, incredible. Fernando, I love it. The price is 1/3 of the price that we are paying here. And I said, okay, you buy to me. And he said, but I don't have money. I mean, my cash flow is very limited. It's no problem. I buy, and then we see how you pay me. When I come back, we discuss. I bought him 300 tons, a very small quantity of steel. And when I got in Brazil, I asked, so, how are you going to pay me? No, as soon as I sell the product, then I pay you. And I said, okay, and how much are you going to pay me? He didn't know how to calculate and so on. And I said, no, I don't know. What's the profit you are going to, let's share the profit that we are going to have with this buy. I don't know what the profit is going to be. I said, my friend, you can't do that. I mean, this lack of management, you're going to break your company. You have a great product. And he was passing for a very difficult time in his life. He just lost his wife on that time. And he asked me, Fernando, I need you to be here with me. I mean, please. So we did an agreement, and I bought 50% of this company. This company was a steel company, but it's a very different way. Every piece was standardized. We used galvanized steel, bolted. I mean, it's a very good technology. The product was amazing. The market was huge. We was at the best time, at the right moment with this product. And we sold a lot. I was responsible for finance things, and I was responsible for sales and marketing. Finance, I didn't understand anything about finance. But I understand everything about sales. I thought that I understood everything about sales and marketing. So, and he was a great engineer. So I started to sell. We grow like 200, 300 per year. And after a couple of years, we realized one thing, that when we import the steel, we pay at site. Then, almost after 6 months, we receive the payment for that steel selling on the market. So as much as we grow, as much capital was needed. So when we realized that our debt was unpayable, priceless, and we was desperate, and we started to see other options. And the option we found was sell 50% of this company to sold the debits to a private equity firms, including the call of the private equity was Patria. He's a partner of Blackstone. I know Blackstone is an American-found private equity firm as well. And on this time, I started to understand about management, and I started to adore that kind of things. Because when we were doing the contract, they bought 50%, but if I made my job, I could repatriate part of the shares. I mean, also I start to see tag along, I mean, right of preference, right of refusal, roll-up rules, and governance laws, and boarding meetings, result meetings, KPIs. I have very big quantity of management tools that I never was introduce it to. So we had a great experience. We spent about 2.5 years with the private equity firm I spent. They are still there. And I wanted to make Zipco bigger than Cimento Brazil, especially now with the private equity firm helping us on the financial things. I was focused on sales, and my partner was focused on engineering. This was when I realized that we couldn't pay the banks. One of the objectives of the Zipco, which is the name of the company, was also merger and acquisition, M&A. And in 2 years and a half after we made the partnership, Zipco with Patria decided to merge with another company called Danica. On that time, the valuation was, I thought it was a little bit higher than expected, so I decided to sell my shares. So now stop my individual career, and now I'm going to talk my entry to Carrilho. On that time, I had the best experience in my life. I mean, I had one company like Cimento Brazil. I was the businessman. I was the great guy. I mean, the Midas. On the other hand, for lack of management, I almost bankrupt. And I tell you guys, Zipco teach me one very important thing for who wants to be a businessman here: humility. Without humility, you cannot be a businessman, a businesswoman. Especially if you are going to try to keep working in a family business. You must have humility, is essential. And the company who teach me that was Zipco. With humility, I came to my father and my uncle, and I said, look, I'm free. You have a place for me there, but I wish I could add value. On that time, they was respecting me a little bit more. I had about 30 years old. We were just married. And I was with more humility, more experience. They also saw something that I did, things, good things, big things that I did. So we have a mutual respect. And there was a great time for we be together. But before I get in, I was a little bit afraid about I didn't want to cross the barriers and maybe get involved in any kind of problems with my father or with my uncle. So, and I asked them, say, look, let's start to work together, but I would like you to listen to me, and let's hide 2 companies. One is Une. Une was the company supposed to formalize the protocols, I mean, the shareholder agreements, and more, I mean, when Une got inside of our company, they realized something very unusual, and was a very difficult time for us. They realized that in our construction company, a family company, we had actually 2 companies inside of one company. My father has a real estate company, and my uncle used it to have a construction company. They didn't speak with each other anymore. They didn't decide together. They didn't give feedback. They was surviving together, let me say that. But the company was doing well. But Une made this diagnosis and called them. Not only them, but all the families. This was a very hard month. We spent like 6 months doing that. And they call everybody together and say, look, first, to continue with this, we have to decide, do you guys still want to be together? Because if you don't want to be together, no problem. We can develop a strategy. We build 2 companies. But do you guys want to still together? And they, of course, they said yes. On that time, there was a lot of rancor, a lot of heartache, between them, between the families. And I think this is the reason why family business use it to do not keep alive. Because they spend their times and they start to get full of heartaches, full of rancors, And they never speak about that. So the relationship one day just finished. On that time, there was a good moment for they to renew the votes. And they renewed their votes. Well, there was another company as well. I had experience with both companies when I was with Patria. I knew them through Patria. And there was another company. That company was in charge for operation. So his eyes were more directly to operation. And they made a diagnosis as well, a little bit difficult for me. They came to me and said, look, Fernando, we draw already your limitations, your obligations, what you have to do, what's your power, what you have to do, what you cannot do, I mean, everything. But we have to talk about one thing with you. So, okay, let's go. And first, the sales and marketing, which is, I thought that was supposed to be my expertise, is not good, but it's working. I mean, it should be modernized, it should be more efficient, but it's working. On the other side, the construction, the part of my uncle, it's doing very good. What we can do is just to help a little bit on the supply chain to save some cost. But there is one thing, and what? The finance department, the human resource, IT, it's a chaos. There is no information. Your father takes information from one type of cash flow that he created with his head. My uncle has another different other report. I mean, nothing talks. And I said, come on, what I'm doing? Because I was in Zipco 1 year ago, and we almost bankrupt because lack of management, lack of expertise in finance. And you are asking me to do that. I said, Fernando, you are going to do fine. I said, come on, I want to kill the guy. You know? And I said, and my father and my uncle, they came to me and said, Fernando, please accept, because we cannot accept. We are old. We cannot do this business. We cannot learn this anymore. This must be done by you. I said, okay, let's go. So this is what I'm going to say, the 2 ways that the company was going. Say, and then, so I have to send where the CFO. They wanted me as CFO. And I was very preoccupied because I didn't know many things about finance. I had some other view with Patria and so on, but I didn't get expertise of finance. So I went to did some research, and I went to some friends of big families, entrepreneurs, and they said, Fernando, I have something that can help you. Why don't you make an OPM, Owners and President Management? It's a program in Harvard Business School. Do you think that can help? Yes, I'm sure. So I went to the website and I made research about OPM. But that took 3 years. Looks, I need for now, I need for tomorrow. And I saw that was a program in 1 week, just to happen, that was an immersion in finance. It's okay, this is my program. So I went to Harvard. I did this first program, which called Finance for Senior Executive, and I was really happy with the result of this program. And when I came back to Brazil, Harvard teach you complex things, but they teach you as well as how to make that complex thing simple. And when I came back to Brazil, I realized that only 2 things that I have to do in the company. First, I have to come back to make the OPM program. And second, I need to somehow make my father and my uncle realize in the simplest way what is our core business. Only this. What is our core business? The main activity. So, and I tried to do that. We found a way, and it was fantastic. Okay. Well, then, sorry. Then, after I started I started to work on the finance department in the company. And the first thing I thought that I was supposed to do is release the payments. I mean, make the authorization for payments. Let's start to do with that. When I got in the ERP, with the integrated software of our company, I started to understand the logic behind the system. And that was essential for everything. And I saw that our new chart of accounts was something unbelievable. I mean, it's a disaster. We don't know what's cost, we don't know the expenses, we don't know we have commercial, everything is confused. I mean, we have to create a new chart of accounts, and this is what we did. By the way, after 6 months, we had, of course, a lot of people didn't want to embrace this new type of management, this new change, new life. I had to break all the walls. I make the company, everybody together. But there was a very old employees. Wage was too high. They was not motivated anymore. And was also a very difficult time because I have to ask them to leave a very big number from our headquarters. I need to have people that could work with me together and motivated. At the same time, we implemented with Une the board. And the board of council was supposed to have people to advise. But our board on that time was composed by my father and my uncle. And I was the guy who showed the budgets. I mean, show what we were doing and things like that. And I was a little bit preoccupied with that because, it's not the best way I thought. But on this time, we had already restructured all of our ERP. We have developed KPIs. We have developed business intelligence. We have developed new management, new areas, new chart of accounts, like I told you, new organization charts. I mean, everything was new. Everything was running okay. And I went to the first model of my program, OPM. And like I told you before, when I came back from this program, I always come with one insight. And my insight on that time was, we need urgent to have a strategy. When I came back, I put my father, my uncle in the room, and more 20 new leaders that was already composing our team. And I'm going to do this the same way as Harvard do with us. They put a lot of people to think together. Let's put everybody to think together. And I bring them one case, very simple case. It's about one bugs killer, for you have an idea. But it was about strategy. And was very, very interesting. I just got the people in the room, and I did exactly the same how Harvard did with me. And everybody liked it and so on. Next day, we had a board meeting. On the board meeting, we were talking about one fuel, the finance performance of one fuel terminal that we were building, and the possibility to invest in this activity more. When I was showing the numbers and was trying to convince them to invest in this business more, my father came and said, look, I'd like to make a question. It's okay. Yesterday, Fernando gave us a kind of lesson, study. And I think that if we will decide to invest in this kind of business, we need to have a very well-defined strategy. I said, I can't believe on that. I stopped and said, Father, may I ask you something? Yeah, yes. What is the strategy of Construtora Carrilho? Clearly, simple. What's our strategy? We have to do. We need to clarify this. Thanks. Thanks. It's a new way of thinking. So, we hired a consultant company. I also bring all the materials I learned in Harvard. And we developed our 5-year business plan, our vision, our mission, our core values, and something else. I was in the middle of this project when I have to go to the second module in Harvard. And when I was there, I saw a very simple and efficient form to increase the performance of the company, which is we have a good balance and scorecard and also a profit share plan. So I just called the consultant, please stop. And we were working here with about that 20 people because we cannot develop this and just ask our employees to follow. Please follow what we thought is right. What's in my head, my father had, my uncle had. It's not like that. So I asked them, we have to involve a lot of people because they will help us to define what's the good strategy to run. They will give us a lot of ideas. And we did all of this job together. But I asked them, please stop, because we have to think already in the front. We have to think about balance scorecard, profit sharing plan, and more things. So they stopped it. With 15 more days, I arrived. I came back, and I bring a lot of material to them. And finally, we conclude our 5-year business plan. So we know where we want to be in 2025 already. Now, we had just implemented our balance scorecard. This is essential because he's using this kind of thing that I'm breaking the walls that use it to divide the company into two companies. Because I'm putting the same, how can I say? I'm putting the same objective to people from different areas. Because doing that, they will have to work together to get in the same objective. So this is very important, I mean. So I'm finishing. Like I told you, I wish I could have more time to speak with detail about that things. But I'd like to share some insights that I think is important. For the students that are here who want to be a business guy, please never look to one of these reports isolated. Always look all of these 3 pillars together and make KPIs, blending them. Next question. Please clarify what is your core business. Then leave very clear as well where you want to go, where you want to be in 10 years. This is the most important thing. You have to be ready for tomorrow. After you have the vision for the next 10 years, you develop the company KPIs and also develop your own KPIs. Because if you are not good, if you are not showing that you are following, if you see that you are not the right person, come on, don't be there. Choose someone better than you. What's the problem? You are the owner. You don't have to be the most qualified person to do that. And so develop your own KPIs, okay? After that, I was in a conflict 1 year ago, 2 years ago. I used it always to be in front of the operation of the companies, in the sales department, in marketing departments, doing with the public, selling. I loved that. And now, I am in an office, closet, speaking with him every day about relationships, about how to convince my father to accept something or my uncle to do something. I mean, it's crazy. But I realized one thing very important. The most important thing in our life is humility, like I told you before. And there is 2 types of persons that can sit here. Entrepreneur or businessman. And you don't have to be both of them. You can be both of them, but you don't have. Entrepreneur is the guy who has the ideas. He's the guy who see the product being sold, who have the insights. The businessman is the guy who pick that ideas and transform in a business. You can be both, of course you can, but you don't have to. So please have the humility to realize which kind of character you are, businessman or entrepreneur. I'm a big fan of this guy. I'd like to tell you that great people working together makes a big company. Without great people, no chance. You see that great people will cost much lower than poor people. Poor people, I say, people that don't want to grow. Another thing, I didn't get too much, but process, it's 90% of a company. So please, develop your process. When you develop the process and you try to implement it in your company, you will see that it's not going to work. So you have to fix the process. So develop process, then you test them. Then you are going to have a process really right, running okay. So then you are going to have an efficient company. We developed more than 60 processes in less than 6 months. And we put all of these processes inside of a BPM program that controls what everybody is doing. Like I told you before, don't do that, please. I almost got bankrupt because I did that. I use it to look only for this. My business partner from Zipco used it to look only for this. And we almost bankrupt. Look for these 3 pillars. And for those who want to work with the family, let me tell you something. Never lose where you want to go. Have always that point in mind, but be patient and give one step every day. Sometimes you give one and come back to, because you are not dealing with the market. You are dealing with people. So you need to be patient. And I'd like to tell a little bit about this. I didn't get in too much about our board, but our board now, it's composed by one more person. So we have a board of advisors with 3 persons, where both of them are my father, are my uncle, and they still are in the management of the company. In 2018, I was introducing the budget, and when I got the budget, I saw that our profits and our generation of cash flow wasn't good. And I introduced it to them. Look our budget for 2018. Are you satisfied? And they looked at. They said, yes, we are. I got astonished. Because that was a very ugly numbers. Why they said yes? Because they was sitting in 2 chairs. They gave me the instruction to make the budget. I just did the budget, but the instruction, they gave it to me. In the other hand, they are the shareholders as well. Think about it. If you are the shareholder and someone came to you and showed a budget for a year, you're going to say, come on, I don't want to see this. Come back and bring something feasible. But you cannot do that if you are as well the manager in the other side. So there is a conflict of the shares, you know. And I was really, I'm still really preoccupied with that. I told Rogério before today, I told you, look, you own me. I came here to New York. Now you have to give me an efficient and big board. And said, okay, I will try. Like I told you, we have to be patient. One day we're going to get there. But what I want to tell you is, when I saw that, I was so astonished. And I was in Harvard, and I have a coach there, which her name is Linda Applegate. For me, she's the best teacher I have ever had. She's in the board of large companies. And I told her everything that I did in the company with much more detail. Okay? And In a conversation with her, she came to me and said, Fernando, I have one advice for you. Thanks. Tell me, Linda. You did great things, but you are forgiving something. You need to give time, because time will work with you, not against you. So be patient. Now give the time to do his work. So be restless, not too much. Family needs capacity of changing, of adapting. Well, this is everything I'd like to bring to you. Thanks a lot, and I hope. Yes.
Is your company privately held?
Yes. It's a private company.
We are going to bring the mics to you, so if you have a question, just raise your hand, and the mic will come to you.
Good afternoon.
Does your company still use Uni? Do you
Yes.
have a continuous relationship with them?
Yes.
And how often do you guys meet with them?
Well, we did the first job, which was develop the first shareholder agreements, which was make the renewal of the votes. I mean, it was a time when we said that we want to be together. And we also made a juridical new structure. I mean, because in Brazil, it's unbelievable. You have to need one company owning the other companies to have some taxes improvement and things like that. They helped us on that. After this, we stopped for a while, and recently we passed a small situation. We had a problem with one of our companies, and we had to invite them again to think about the juridical structure of our company. But when they got there, I also request them to please give me the board of advice bigger and more efficient. So we are working on that.
Oh, yes, please.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the speech. I wanted to know, like, in family businesses, there are normally conflict of power. So how do you handle that in your business?
With resilience. Every day it's a different, I don't know. Every day it's a different challenge. Like I told you, we are not dealing with the market. We're not dealing with objective things. We are dealing with people. You need to have humility, and you need to have resilience to get adapt every day, and humility. This is the two things most important in my point of view.
Thank you very much for coming and giving us an insight into your company. My question for you is more towards the future, because you mentioned that when you were looking and had all the hunger to participate in your family's business, they looked at you as being someone that was young, perhaps inexperienced. And through many years, you went ahead and proved them wrong, to the point where now you're taking over pretty much the head of the company. What about the next generation? If your son came to you one day and at 21 years of age and said, look, Dad, I have all these ideas, how would you look at him now? And I'm asking this question because I'm a first generation, hopefully, family business. And I'm hoping that one day my son or daughter would like to take over my business. And I'm wondering how I'm going to approach that question to them.
Well, there is two styles of governance laws in the companies that I know. There is the European style and the American style. You correct me if I'm wrong, but after I tried to understand about governance laws and so on, I'm convinced, and I think that the best way to keep a company healthy is if we that belongs to the family, we are not directly involved in the company. I think that one day I have to leave the company. I have to go to the board. This is what I think is right. I don't know if they agree with me. I don't know if we are going to do that. But nowadays, what I see is maybe I'm a good management guy in the company, my father as well, my uncle as well. But I think we need to have very clear the paper of the shareholders, the property, and the paper of the management. So when you ask about your second generation or third generation or fourth generation in my case, I think they can't be in my company. I have to give him all the instruction to prepare him to be a good shareholder, because it's a completely different. But of course, I don't want to be so radical. I don't know how, but we can think one day. But if we put some rules, very strong rules, and when I say very strong rules, I mean about he must show that he's a spectacular guy, win half of what the people are winning in the company as a wage. I mean, if he proves that he are a Superman, then he can get in the company. And even with that, I don't think it's a good idea. I think that we have to divide. Shareholders is shareholders. Management is management. It's my point of view. Many people, the most part of the companies in Brazil don't do that, and I don't do that right now in my company. But I think it's the right way to do. It's my opinion.
We have a question on this side.
Hi, good afternoon.
afternoon.
First and foremost, I just want to thank you for taking the time to come speak to us students who are aspire to be something like yourself, successful businessmen and entrepreneurs. The question that I have is, you mentioned you conduct a lot of business in Brazil, but do you also conduct business in other regions, specifically here in the United States?
No, I use it to trade very often with other countries, buying raw materials, making vessel charters in Norway, in Middle East. I know all the countries in Asia. I have been in all of them. I have both clinker and slag from most part of the Central America, and I also have done some business with the United States. But actually, the business in this case, the company in the United States was just the trading companies. But I don't have plans to invest or to start the construction company in our country now. I don't have business with the United States. I was told in Elisa before that this is something not so good because I'm losing my English. I feel that. Because in my past business, I was daily talking in English, writing emails, and so on. Now I don't have a lot of things to talk with other countries. And so I started to lose a little bit my English. This bothered me a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To your right.
Fernando, hi, too. I, too, thank you for your talk today. You spoke about boards. You talked related to family members coming into the family, and I'm curious what you can say. I know there are several aspects of this you could address about a board of advisors, a board of directors, non-family. Are there a board or a committee of just family members or stakeholders? Are there outside members on a board of directors? You have a board of directors and a board of advisors, and anything you can tell us about your board to be appreciated.
Well, I am the member of 3 boards. Board of counselors in my company and 2 other different companies in São Paulo, in other parts of Brazil. This is the point. I think that the paper of the board of counselor is we in Brazil call administrative council board. I think that is essential, and this is something that my family do not recognize yet. They think that go to the board of counselor means that they are becoming restless. They are not working, they are not producing anymore. And I think that is totally the opposite. I think when we are in the board, we are out of the box. We are looking for new opportunities. We are looking for new business, new techniques. We are new type of business. I mean, new type of or, I mean, a whole new world. When you are too much involved, and if you are an entrepreneur company, I mean, if you are the brain of the company, you have to be in the world, not inside of the company. So, but they don't think like that. They don't think like that. And I also think that when you have, when you are not out of the company, looking at the management, you lose the capacity to grow your company. Because when you are on the management, you are going to grow the business as per you can, as per your power, your expertise. When you are out, you don't want to know, I want to grow my company. I want to grow 10% per year. I just have to find someone to do that job. I mean, I want that. But if I'm here and there, it's complicated because I want to grow 10%. Then I came here and say, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, I'm going to fire you. And then it's, no, please don't do it. You know. So I think I told you, I don't know if I was very clear, but I think that all of you, if you can, please have a very strong board of advisors. For you have an idea, I am in, like I told you before, I am in 2 board counselor, and I'm there to give my opinions, to be honest, to be clear, to say them what I think. And I don't make any profit with that. I do that because I love it. And what I'm telling you this is because a lot of people like me, I know, they want to come to our board. That's not going to cost. That can be cheap. And the efficiency that we're going to have with an active board is going to be unbelievable high. This is my opinion. Then there is another thing I would like to tell you. I had one idea a couple of months ago, which was think completely different. Look, I'm going to try to develop the board of the family. And I'm going to start talking with my cousins, the son of my uncle. They are 18 years old, and the other one is 24 years old. They are in the University of Medicine. They are going to be a physician. They don't know anything about the numbers. And I start to teach them the basic things. I mean, why? Because in one day, they must evaluate my performance. If I'm doing good or not. We must write how they are going to fire me if I'm not doing good. And if you don't write, they are going to ask, Fernando, first year, you did not be good. Second year, okay, you're not so good as well. Can you leave the company? I said, no, come on. Who do you think you are? I'm here for 10 years. You come now and say that I'm not supposed to be here now. But if you put on the paper, in the first year, when I saw that my KPIs are not good, I'm going to be scared. In the second year, I'm going to be more scared because in the third year, I know that I'm going to be fired. Because it's right, so we don't have to discuss. This thing helps a lot. The family keep together. With clear rules, you're going to have the family just to talk about good things, just to talk about entertainment and being together and love and things like that. When you don't have the things clear, you are going to be on the Sunday in the house of your grandparents discussing about business because things are not clear. Because you came back from your home to the weekend with something that you wish to say to your brother, your sister, your son, or people like that. So I'm trying to implement, and they will be hired to help me with that. I'm preparing them then I'm going to contract them to help me on that. Because I'm planning to develop the family board. Because when I develop the family board, we are going to be a lot of people. We are going to be about 6 or 7, 8 people. And when a big group take decisions, they have the supremacy. So who knows? If when we implement the family board one day, if the family board will not have the power to say, we need a strong board of a counselor. The guys who are in the board of a counselor are not supposed to be in the management as well. So maybe I have to begin from the end, you know? This is what I'm trying to do. I don't know if it's in the right way or not.
We have time for one more question. There is one on this side.
Good afternoon. When was the worst time in your professional career, and how did it help you later on?
My worst time?
Yes. Most challenging, depressing, darkest moment?
I promised that I was not supposed to call my wife here, but she knows very well when was this time. I remember when I was with a bank in my meeting room, and the next day I have to pay the installments, the last big installment of that lending, the lending that the bank did to do us. I mean, we need to return the cash. And I was trying to negotiate with them to give me more time to pay. And I was offering some guarantees, I was trying to give them options to do not ask me to pay in the other day. But at the end of the meeting, the guy came to me and said, Fernando, we are not going to discuss anymore. And so, why not? We have something to, how are we going to do it? And the guy said, we already did. Your guarantees was executed. And when I went to what's that? And then I asked my people from the finance department to go to the internet to see our account. And our access was blocked. I have about 300 persons in my office asking to receive their payments. It was a very interesting day. I was in São Paulo. I was looking for a partner to divide the risk with us, to help a solution before we pay that debt. And in one day, we went to an insurance company, and the guy was completely crazy. When I got in the company, the guy said, Fernando, you are in problem. You have problems. I know. You don't have size to bankrupt because your company is not that big. I don't know how to help. Do you believe in God? There is one church that can help you. I said, oh my God. Then I went to the very famous street in São Paulo we call Brigadeiro Faria Lima. And I don't know to say this name in English, but I do know on the street, the Sarjeta.
Sidewalk.
The sidewalk. I just was seated on the sidewalk and I said, I'm broke. In the other day, I went to a headhunter to find a miracle. Maybe they could choose someone that could help us. And the woman said, look, I think that you don't need one person to solve your problem. There is one company, one private equity firm, that I think that they can help you. She called the private equity firm, and they are ready to receive you. Go there right now. When I got in the office in the front of the building, was not the same building, but here is the building of the insurance company. In the other building was the building of the private equity firm. This was side by side. When I got to the building, I saw in the face of the guys that I was negotiating, the eyes were shining. And I said, look, I solved my problem. That was the worst day in my life.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before you go, I just wanted to take a moment to thank Fernando Carrilho for coming. Great presentation. Thank you, Renata, for joining him on the trip. Thank you, Professor Ramona Zachary. She had to leave a few minutes earlier, but it's thanks to her leadership we've been hosting these events for 6 years now. Thank you to BCTC and Stella Vaveres for featuring the event live on Facebook. Thank you, Rogério Rodrigues, for introducing us to Fernando. Thank you for the Field Center team, everyone who helped make this event happen, Marlene, Carlene, Arvis, Nelly, Kindra, and everyone who helped today. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing up. You know, we need you to come and participate and ask questions, so it's great to see you all here. And I will see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.